I decided to do this video because I want to make sure people understand when a printhead is truly clogged, and it's just clogged because you've got a lot of air in the printhead. Now this is an old Epson 7610 that I took out of the warehouse. We used it for a lot of testing. You can see it's pretty beat up. Now in here we had our Black Tower systems. We test a lot of things using these printers. This is a set of cartridges that was in it. So our refillables, so they were being tested, and then we transfer the chip to a set of cartridges once we know the chip is good. So I'm going to take these out, because you should never put an empty cartridge in the printer like that. But you see those little things on the bottom? We put them there so the printer can't detect that they're not OEM. Some cartridges need it, some don't. That particular thing needed them. And if I didn't have that on there, I'd put a piece of black electrical tape. So there's the printhead. I'll turn it on. There it comes. Now, like I said, this machine has been beat. It's been in a warehouse probably, well, maybe 6 months. And the warehouse gets to at least 100 degrees in Florida here during the summer months. Okay, now I'm going to take a set of our refillable cartridges. Now here I have the XXL, extra large black, and it's filled with our ultra bright true color pigment ink, American made ink. This is awesome ink. I'm letting it do its running and close it up. So I'm not doing any cleaners, I'm not doing anything yet. Now our printer has used the Epson ink, this one here I should say, and has used our Ultra Pro pigment ink. Okay, now it's telling me that cartridges are not installed, so I'll go to proceed. Okay, put your hands on the side, lift up. Now there's no cartridge cover on there because we take them off when we have a Black Tower system in. Okay, now this has been sitting, like I said, for a long time. So you say, oh, it's got to be clogged. Well, we don't know. Let's find out. I'm doing this video just to show you what to expect. Now, one thing I want to point out, we always put the storage plugs back in. You want to take them out. Now, if you don't have them in there, that's fine too. But there you go. Put them in. Now, these COC Smart chips are just awesome. They'll report. Now I can close it up. And let's see what it reports. Like I said, the COC Smart chips are awesome. Better than ARC. ARC is old technology. If you're not using COC Smart chips, then your ink levels will be off. Now it's telling me I haven't installed genuine Epson cartridges. That's correct. Let's go to proceed. And it makes you go down. Okay. Continue using the cartridge, yes. Okay. Now I'm going to go to Setup, Maintenance. I'm going to print a nozzle check. Now don't forget, I haven't had anything in this printer. That's why I'm doing this video. I'm doing it right from the beginning. I did load paper. Gonna take a second. Now see, it's going into that charging. So this will take a minute or two. Cleaning, this is taking a longer time because I guess it's been sitting. And which I want to point that out. If you unplug these printers and let them sit for a couple of days, you'll go into, see this? This is what I call a power charge. I mean, Let the printer do the work. Don't start cleaning it. Now, after all I'm going to show you in this video, and it doesn't work, well then, I do recommend our fast-acting printhead cleaner. I've used this for 20 years. I've made it for 20 years. Trust me, this stuff really works. If that doesn't work, well then, it's time to throw the printer in the trash. A lot of the poor quality inks that you can buy, that's why it's cheap, it doesn't have all the properties in it, or all the other stuff that needs to be put in inks. Like we put biocides and fungicides in it. Why? Stops the buildup of algae and other things. It's got to be in the ink. Been going on, I'd say about a minute and a half, maybe close to 2 minutes now. Oh, it just shut out. Hold on. Let's take a look. Real close look. Now my black actually surprises me. Looks very good. A little bit at the bottom. I'm not going to worry about that. But now my colors, not very good at all. Not very good at all. Now before I start pumping cleaners in there, I'm going to show you a couple little secrets. I'm going to say done, because I'm not going to clean it anymore. I'm going to go over here, and what I want to do is cartridge replacement. Now this is for every Epson printer, no matter what model you have. Okay, now it's put on the side, it's going to move over. Now, I'm going to reach down, and I'm taking out the fill plugs. All of them. I'll leave the black alone. Now, I've showed this in another video. Now, obviously, can't do this with an Epson cartridge, but our refillables don't require priming. I've tested these cartridges for years, and these work excellent. Okay, now, I'll leave the black one in, but now I'm going to close it up. Nothing in. Now, remember, you can only do 3 printhead cleanings at one time. Don't go 5, 6, 7. If you do that, you're really going to be in trouble. So don't do it. I'll do this. This is number 1 now. I'm going to do them all. I could say not the black, but I'm going to do them all. At least on this one. Now it's going to go in this cleaning. Now and then it'll print out that sheet again. And then we'll see if there's any improvement. I actually am very surprised on the black. Came out pretty good. We started getting something right here, but not good enough. And a lot of people, oh, my printhead's clogged. Oh, I got to do this, I got to do that. Don't do it. Just watch this video. Now, if you've got Epson cartridges in there, I recommend you buy a set of our refillables with our ink. It's a lot easier to work with. Stay away from cheap ink sold on the internet. That'll do more harm than all the money you could save. Well, why it's doing, I'm going to point this out. Do you see the black? You see that little spot right there? Don't try to clean that out. Leave it alone. Set the printer at a higher print quality, and that'll correct that. But if you say, "Oh, look I got a missing bar there," and you go in there clean and clean and clean, trust me, it's only going to get worse. It's not going to get better. You don't fix it that way. I've got other ways to fix it, or that may be telling me that nozzle. There's that cleaning. I'm going to print the nozzle check. I've got the one previous. And while it's doing this, here it comes. There it is. Okay, let's take another one. Now, look at that. No real improvement. Black is the same. Okay, now I'm going to do the last one, the third one. I'm going to print it out. I saw a little improvement between the first one and the second one. Now look at this. That's what I thought. My magenta's almost back. Now the yellow is very difficult. I'm going to try to see if I can get close to the yellow. You never know where the yellow is. So, now at this point, I will use some of the cleaners. Some of our cleaner I can use. And let's see if we can bring it back. Because it's probably dried out under there because it's been sitting so long. Where I can take them out. Now if you have a cover on there, you have to go to the cartridge change position. That's where you should be when you take these out. Now they're not going to leak because they have poppet valves in that cartridge stop any leaking when it comes out. Now the black I'm going to leave there. But down inside here, and I'll get a flashlight in a minute and show you because it's hard to see. There's little spikes that stick up in the air, and they go through the bottom there. And that's how it draws the ink in. So before I do that, I'm going to fold the paper towel, and I'm going to lay it in here and run the bottom of the printhead over the top of it because it might be just right at the bottom. So right now I'm going to unplug it from the back of the machine. Now I'll be able to move it. It's the only time I'll be able to move it. See? Now I want to point out, do not touch this area right here. That's the cleaning area. It's dumping it into a waste box in the back. But now I'll get the flashlight so you can see those, we call them needles, sticking up in the air. Flashlight on them. You can see all three of them. Now in the fast-acting printhead cleaner, you get two types of tips. Now this one here is for a Canon printhead, and that's for the Epson printhead. Now I'll warm up some of the chemical in the microwave, and then I'm going to squirt it down in there. But first I'm going to pour some of it on a paper towel and run the bottom of the printhead back and forth. There's a paper towel in there. Now I'm going to pull it over the top of that just to hold it. Then I'm going to wet this area with a little bit of the chemical and manually run the printhead back and forth. Warms it up in the microwave just a little bit. When you warm it, it helps. Now you see I got it going back and forth so I can hold that paper and run it back and forth on that paper towel. Because in case there's any residue built up on it, I've added some cleaner to it. Now sometimes you can just let it sit there for a half hour or more, so you can bring it back and forth. Because there's a plate under there, a nozzle plate, and it can get dried out. Because remember, it sat over here in the cleaning station over here, and that's got a lot of ink built up, so it sticks to the bottom of the printhead. I'm just going to run it back and forth. I'm taking a lot of ink off. Look at that. Then I'll fill it, and I'll go over, and I'll go down over those spikes, because when you clean it, there's a little hose that will go over it, and that makes it nice and snug, so the cleaner can't be spread all around in the printhead. Now you can see the hose fits tight over it. I put it over the cyan because the magenta was starting to come back. I might put a little bit in the magenta. Now once you put the chemical in there, you've got to put the cartridge back in there and flush out that chemical. But you see it's been saturated. So sometimes I put a fresh one in there and see if I get the magenta to be squirting out, or the cyan, or the yellow, depending on what color is giving you the problem. I put it on the magenta, but that one looks pretty good, but I'll just give it a little bit. Then the cyan and the yellow, I'll definitely do. You don't want to put a lot of chemical. And what you're looking for is that when you're pushing down, you're not feeling a heavy resistance. Like, see the yellow, it just went in. So I know that's fairly clean. And just let the chemical sit there for half an hour in each one of them. Because you got to give it time to work. Now I could put it, like I said, a fresh paper towel under there and see if I'm getting some color to come out of that particular color. That tells me if it's clear enough. All in there. I didn't put any chemical on it this time, so I'm just going to squirt a little bit from the yellow and then move it. See if any yellow is coming out. Yep, I got a little bit of yellow right there. Let's go back, move it over here, and then let me go on to the next one, which was the cyan. That was the one that was definitely giving us some problems. So I'll take it off, I'll go over to cyan. Put it over there and squirt something and see if it goes in. If it doesn't go in, that means that printhead is probably bad. Now I'll try pushing it in. Just a little bit. Don't empty a whole syringe in there. And pull it away. See if I get anything to stick. There you go, there's magenta. So I've cleared all the nozzles rather. I've cleaned them all. Now, if it doesn't improve the printing on the nozzle check, then you've got a bad printhead. And you still could have a bad printhead because one of the nozzles may not fire. So now, I'll put the cartridges in. Take that plug out again, though. I'm not going to leave the plug in because I want to flush out this printhead now because I got all that chemical in there. Now sometimes when you're taking these in and out, because of the pressure used, the little tube might come off. So look in there, put it back on, and then you can use it over and over again. I took all the plugs out. Now I'll plug it back in. Now we use an Ultra Pro pigment ink in these printers. You can use a dye base. Trouble with dye base, it's a lot easier for a dye base in this type of printhead to crystallize. So that's why we're not selling any dye base for this. You can use sublimation ink. You can use our pigment ink. Now some people like to use dye base, but you gotta make sure that you watch that it doesn't sit too long. Finally, got done cleaning. Now I just put out the sheet. Let's take a look. Wow, that looks pretty good. Now there again, you can't see the yellow. I've got my cyan back. I'm missing a little magenta there. Black looks good. Now I'm still missing that part of the printhead on the precision core. See if I can get up and show you. Got those two back and that. So let's go up and say done. The cyan looks very good. The black's good. Some of the magenta. But now remember on precision core it's got a double printhead. On some of the Epsons you're not going to see that. Only see one. So what I do is a little secret here. I filled up that same syringe with a little yellow. I'm going to jump start that yellow. So I'll go up there, and I'm going to get over that yellow, and I'm just going to add a little bit. I'm going to manually put some ink into the yellow. I'm going to prime that printhead. I'm going to do the same thing with the magenta. Yellow, I'm going to add a little bit, just a little bit. You're not going to put a CC or anything like that. Just a little bit. And that's going to kind of help prime it. Now what I did is also, when I did this, I refilled the cartridge back up again. Forget about the ink gauge. All we want to make sure is we got ink in there. Because if you do too many cleanings, you couldn't do this with an Epson cartridge. Because you'd have to buy like 4 or 5 sets. Pull them back up again, and I put the plugs back in because I don't want to flood it. If you flood the printhead, it's going to react exactly like if it was clogged. So let's close it. I might get an error message because I've been taking the cartridges in and out. Remember, I had it under power and I took them in and out, so that's gonna, oh, it liked it. Okay, now I'm gonna go and do a printhead cleaning. Let's see what we get. Now there again, this is the first one. We're allowed to do up to 3. I mean, this printhead's showing promise because I got the black, I've got the cyan, which when I went back and looked at it, the cyan, which is the blue, was barely coming out. Now you know it's going to go into another cleaning again. These printers clean because think about this. If Epson didn't build that utility, you know, about the broken nozzles or the nozzle pattern or how to clean it, that means they had problems with their own cartridges. Except when you use an Epson, every time it does it, it costs you a lot of money. Finally done with all the cleaning and everything. You can see my black is back pretty good. My first row, my yellow, magenta, cyan, very good. I've got yellow back on the second color row. No magenta, and there's the cyan. Now this is what we started with. So we always had good black, but the colors were very sketchy. And after cleaning it, using the chemical, doing everything, conclusion is that the magenta printhead has got a problem. That's probably why this printer was put in a warehouse. But I want to show you. Now, a lot of people just keep buying cartridges, cleaning it and cleaning it. There's no fix for it. That happens. I've seen it, for some reason, I've seen a lot more on the Epsons with the magenta. Not sure why. So, but at least you can still use the printer. You could not use it if it was like that. When we first started, could not use it. But now at least you can use it and you'll get some fairly good color out of it. Black is very good. Yellow and your blue is excellent. Now there again, if you set it for a higher quality, then the magenta will come out even better. Running some configuration sheets. That's perfect. That's perfect. So at least you can still, you know, use the printer. Scanner works, everything works, but the magenta definitely have a problem. I'm going to print out a color test pattern again. Here it comes. I set it for a little bit better quality just to see. Looking pretty good. There again, the red is not going to be that deep, deep red because of the damage to that printhead. But your regular stuff looks really good. So now it's acceptable. Now at least you can use the printer. I hope this video helped. You don't have to go out and spend a lot of money.